Mr. President, if you asked a woman who had been denied the help she needed to feed her children because you said you needed the money for a tax break for a millionaire or for a missile we couldn't afford to use.
He was a philosopher, and he was a poet, and he was an advocate, and he was a crusader.
And we proclaim as loudly as we can the utter insanity of nuclear proliferation and the need for a nuclear freeze, if only to affirm the simple truth that peace is better than war because life is better than death.
And he was beautiful.
Has nothing to do with my chances. It has everything to do with my job as governor, and I don't see that I can do both. Therefore, I will not pursue the presidency.
His inspiration and his legacy and his experience is what has brought this state to this point.
His whole view of being in public service and government was to make the community stronger so everybody would have the same chance as he did.
I want to be governor. I want to be the hardest working there ever was. And I want, when it's over, I want people to say, now there was an honest person.
Papa, they will not go by that I don't miss your smile and your strength. I will listen for your voice. I love you, Pop, and I always will.
And thank you for being with us for this Pix 11 News special, The Life of Mario Cuomo. I'm Tamsin Fidel. Well, tonight, over the next several minutes, we are remembering the life and legacy of this New York icon, the politics, the larger-than-life personality, and the family, including the heir apparent, the current governor, Andrew Cuomo. His political prominence and his love for his father, both truly on display today at the funeral of his hero, his mentor, his pop, Mario Cuomo. The former three-term governor died of heart failure on New Year's Day at the age of 82. There were political dignitaries in attendance today, including former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, plus Mayor Bill de Blasio and former Mayor Michael Bloomberg, not to mention the hundreds of ordinary New Yorkers whose lives were touched by Cuomo. Well, Mario Cuomo was New York's 52nd governor, serving 3 terms between 1983 and 1994, the whole time married to the love of his life, Matilda, for more than 6 decades. Mario Cuomo's most memorable moment on the national stage was at the 1984 Democratic National Convention, a keynote address called A Tale of Two Cities, about a country split between the haves and the have-nots. Mayor Bill de Blasio used those same words during his mayoral campaign. Governor Cuomo once again shined in the national spotlight in 1992 when he announced Bill Clinton's nomination for president. Of course, the Clintons were in attendance, as you saw today. Well, Mario Cuomo never ran for president, as some Democratic leaders pushed him to do in both 1998 and also in 92. And a lot of people still wonder, what if? But even without the Oval Office, the governor's impact was obviously far-reaching. He touched a lot of people. Pix 11's Amber Cogliano is back in the old neighborhood near where the governor was born and raised. She is live in Briarwood, Queens, with the story for us tonight. Ann.
Hi, Tamsin. Good evening. Well, you said it. Mario Cuomo was born and raised in Queens, and many people here are remembering him tonight, talking about how he inspired them and this borough.
Very kind person, very up-to-date person, and he was for Queens.
At the flagship diner in Briarwood, Queens, residents shared their feelings with us on the late governor Mario Cuomo on the same day he had been laid to rest. John Thomas has been living in Queens for more than 40 years.
Do you think he inspired people in this
Yes,
borough?
he did.
How
yes,
so?
he did. With his candor.
Has nothing to do with my chances. It has everything to do with my job as governor, and I don't see that I can do both. Therefore, I will not pursue the presidency.
On New Year's Day, the 3-term former New York State governor, 82-year-old Mario Cuomo, died just hours after his son Andrew's inauguration for his 2nd term. At his funeral Tuesday, his son eulogized him.
It was a gift to have him with us this past election night.
Dr. Anthony Tamburi is the dean of the John D. Calandra Italian-American Institute of Queens College, based in Manhattan.
I think, first of all, Mario Cuomo has been an excellent example of what is an American and what is an Italian-American, in this sense that he has a sense of the social fabric that should be a playing field for all.
Tamburi told us their paths had crossed numerous times during Tamburi's 8+ years here.
This is the 30th anniversary of the Calandra Institute.
I said my father's name was Andre. I brought it home. He sent it to me. I brought it home, showed it to my mother, and she cried.
How did he have an impact on your life?
Well, I think serving as a model. You know, I look to him as a model for what he did in elected politics, what elected office, what he was able to provide in some ways a fair playing ground for everybody.
Back in Queens, resident John Danigal told us he'll always remember Mario.
Well, I'm just happy he's a kid from Queens.
Yeah, we're all happy he's just a kid from Queens. Well, Tamburi also told us, Tamsin, he saw him at several special events. And, you know, Mario Cuomo would just mingle with the crowd. He wouldn't go in any sort of special area or anything like that. For now, we're live in Briarwood, Queens. Ann Mercogliano, Pix 11 News.
All right, Ann, thank you. Well, sometimes when you talk about someone you love, you just don't want to stop talking. And today at the funeral of Mario Cuomo, it was time for Andrew Cuomo to talk. For 39 minutes, the current governor delivered an emotional and very personal, sometimes funny, and sometimes political eulogy for his father. In fact, some are calling it the best public address of his life and career, and that is where we bring in Pix 11's Marvin Scott to talk about the speech. And Marvin, we sat here staring at the television in awe as we listened to it. Really good.
Something, we were not in the church, we were sitting here and watching it, and we felt the emotion.
No question about it.
In my opinion, I've heard Andrew Cuomo so many times. In my opinion, it was the best speech I've ever heard him deliver. It was stirring, it was passionate, heartfelt, and absolutely emotional. Andrew Cuomo's eloquent eulogy clearly demonstrated he's the inarguable heir to his father's example. His speech was a combination of political legacy and personal memories. He managed to weave a poetic portrait of his father that created a mixture of tears and laughter.
Pop, you taught us well. You inspired us. We know what we have to do, and we will do it. We will make this state a better state, and we will do it together. I love you, Pop, and I always will. My father called himself a progressive pragmatist. Progressive values, but a pragmatic approach. He believed he needed to separate the two components, the goals and the means. His goal was progressive, but his means were pragmatic. I told him at the time it was too complicated to communicate, and no one would understand what he was saying. Frankly, I still don't understand what he was saying.
No question about it. He is his father's son. It was such a brilliant eulogy. It just may be remembered along the best of his father's oratory, that remarkable keynote address at the 1984 Democratic Convention.
He really touched on a little bit of everything in this eulogy.
He did, and we saw a side of Andrew Cuomo really we haven't seen before. Yep. We've seen the politician. He is very hard-nosed when he gets down to doing business, but we didn't see the personal side of him saying, I love you, Pop, and talking about the spirit still living. We saw the spirit in Andrew Cuomo today.
Well, this was certainly it today, that's for sure.
And you know something, there was one of the more poignant moments in the eulogy. It came when Andrew made a pledge to his father, a pledge to help heal the wounds of divisiveness currently hanging over the city.
They say your father never leaves you. If you listen carefully, you will hear his voice. I believe that's true. But one doesn't need to listen that carefully or be his son to know what Mario Cuomo would say today. That it's time for this city to come together. It's time to stop the negative energy and to move forward. That the intelligent course, the constructive course, the responsible course is to learn the lessons from the past tragedies, to identify the necessary reforms, to improve our justice system, to have better safety measures for police officers, and to move this city forward.
All right, those are the words there. Joining us now to talk about the governor's speech, the political ramifications, and the powerful words is political analyst and Iona College professor Jeannie Zaino. Jeannie, unbelievable words there. I think that stopped all of us, really.
Absolutely. What a moving day, and I agree with both of you. This was a new side of Andrew Cuomo, and I think I was watching it on screen as well, and it was just riveting. And to hear that piece, which you just played, about what Mario Cuomo would do to heal this enormous rift that we've been feeling for the last several months in this city, I think to a large extent, I couldn't help thinking this is exactly what the city needs to hear and what we need to do. And if Andrew Cuomo is able to channel his father in that way and bring these two sides together, you know, what a gift that would be to the city.
Do you think he'll really get involved in what's going on in the city? It certainly seems like it.
It certainly seems like it. He said it a few times now that this is going to be a key aspect of his second term, and we know that he's ready to give his State of the State at the end of January, followed by his budget address. I'm hoping we see the Andrew Cuomo, rather, excuse me, of today in that, although those speeches are a little bit different. But I'm hoping he's going to, because he has said this is going to be a key aspect of his second term.
He looked there and he said, he made that a pledge to his father. He said, I pledge to you, Pop. Now, he was his mentor. Andrew's mentor was his father. They spoke every day. He's no longer here. His spirit, he said, lives. How is this going to change Andrew politically, do you think?
You know, that's, I think, a question, the big question everybody is asking as we see this kind of Andrew becoming almost his father. And in a way, you know, he's always been under his father's shadow, and now he's moved out on his own. I think it's going to be fascinating. Does this change the way he deals with the legislature? Does it change, you know, what he wants to do in the future, both in New York and nationwide? So I think it's still the big question, and I think starting to heal this rift, if he's able to do that, is going to be an important first step, very much like his father in terms of the housing issue.
We will certainly see. Jeannie Zaino, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Certainly so much more we could talk about. Thank you for joining us for this Pix 11 News special, The Life of Mario Cuomo. For Marvin Scott and myself, I'm Tamsin Fidel. Don't go anywhere. Scott is up next with the Pix 11 Sports Desk.
Hey, everybody.